Hi there. In the last video, I talked about, getting sober and how the Lord had met me and really helped me to get sober and helped me to stay sober. Despite that, my relationship with Him was, I can't say it was really much of a relationship at all. I think I had a very similar relationship as I did to Santa Claus, where you send off your list of requests, but you don't really expect to hear back from him except to get the presents. And it felt a wee bit like that, I would send off prayers from time to time, but it was a bit like phoning up his answering machine and leaving a message, here you are, God, could you sort this out? Could you sort that out? The last thing I wanted to hear was him going, yes, God here. I didn't want that sort of relationship. I wasn't used to that relationship, and I didn't know what it would be like. I think for me, I don't really trust God. It was that simple. I didn't really trust him. There seemed to be an awful lot of smiting in the Old Testament, and if you got on the wrong side of God, then you better watch out. And for much of my life, I had probably been on the wrong side of God. That's the way I saw it, the way I drank, the way I took drugs, the way, all that stuff, So after I got sober, I went along and I used to say I had a faith, but I wouldn't say it was much of a faith. I stayed sober and I went back into education. I got a degree in psychology. I then went on and did a doctorate, became a lecturer at university. And it was all in alcohol and drugs. The last thing I really wanted to do was lecture in alcohol and drugs. I mean, an awful lot of my life had been spent trying to get away from alcohol and drugs. It'd been a big, big part of my life, and I didn't want it to be a big part of my life, to continue it to be a big part of my life. But anyway, that's kind of where I ended up. I had got married. My wife went off with somebody else, and I got into another relationship, and it was quite a long relationship, but it was, can we say, a difficult one, And as we were splitting up, I remember I was in, but of all places, Ljubljana Airport, which is in Slovenia, and I was coming back from a holiday, and everywhere I looked, I saw Lou. She was everywhere, Even the woman who gave me coffee, who I have to say was about 104, looked like Lou. It was just, she was in my head, and I couldn't get her out of my head. And I ended up going back and I did a Google search for her, couldn't find her, and eventually I did. I found her. I found that she was married, she lived in Exeter, and she had 2 kids. And I thought, well, that's the end of that. What was all that about? That's a bit crazy. But I still couldn't get her out of my head. So, being a good psychologist, I thought, I know, catharsis, that's what we'll do. Basically, that means putting it all down on paper and getting it out of your head. So I did. I put it down in the form of a letter, Dear Lou, sorry for writing to you. This must sound absolutely crazy. And it went on for 5 pages, 3 of it being an apology. And I wrote the letter, put it in an envelope, addressed it, but that was never, ever to be sent. And then one day I was passing a postbox and I stuck it in the postbox. Don't know why, but I did. And the next day, I got this phone call. Hello, Lou here. And we started talking. And it was as if the previous 35 years, because that's how long had passed by this time, hadn't happened. We just talked, and it was very natural, it was very easy. And we did that for a couple of weeks, and then she said, come down, visit. So I got on a plane, went down, because I was living in Glasgow, she was living in Exeter. So I got on this plane, went down there, and I have to say, it was like, cat in a hot tin roof. I felt like a kid on his first date, but I was so nervous and I don't know why. So I arrived there and, we went out for lunch and we spent the whole lunch saying, I'm not looking for a relationship. And she'd go, I'm not looking for a relationship. And I'll go, well, I'm not looking for a relationship even less than you're looking for. And so it went on. And then I was staying in this hotel and she phoned me up at the hotel because we were going to Sidmouth the next day, which is where we met in the first place. And, and she phoned me up and she said, I need to talk to you before we go. Now, when a woman said, I need to talk to you, for most of my life, it meant I was in trouble. And I thought, oh dear, what have I done now? I haven't been here long enough to do anything, but let's go and find out. And we came in. I came into her kitchen and she said, could you sit down? Because the Lord has given me a word for you. And I thought, sorry? So anyway, she started to talk. And basically, I can't remember the word because I was too busy crying and sobbing to memorize it all. But basically, I went along the lines of, I have witnessed your struggle, and I'm proud of you. I only ask that you do not diminish me, because in no way will I diminish you. And as I say, I sobbed a lot during that. Because for me to become a Christian, not that I was in any rush to do that, meant that I would have to become this narrow-minded bigot. That's how I saw it. They were all narrow-minded bigots. I mean, they hated just about everybody that wasn't a Christian. Now, I know that's not true now, but I didn't know it then. So I was having none of that. I'd already been a Catholic, I'd already been one of the Jesus people, and now I was not going to become a Christian. So anyway, we visited Sidmouth, I went back to Scotland, we talked back and forward on the phone. Well, when I say we talked back and forward on the phone, we talked on the phone every night for about 2 hours. And one night, we got into this pantomime routine again. I'm not looking for a relationship. And I suddenly stopped Lou and said, I think we're a bit late for that. Who else do you talk to on the phone for 2 hours every night? And she said, I think you better come back down again. We need to talk. So I went back down, and cut a long story short, we decided that yes, actually, we were in love with each other. And we still continued to talk over the phone because I was in Scotland, she was in Exeter. And one day she said, I love you, but I'm having problems. I need you to do something. And I said, what? She said, I need you to become a Christian. No, sorry. I need you to ask my father's permission to get married. And I said, your father's dead. She said, not that one, the one in heaven. And I thought, can I not just slay a dragon or something? Do I have to go and become, talk to your dad and become a Christian? But I loved her. And I decided, okay, I'll do it. I'll see what I can do. But when I lived in the end of this peninsula, and it was a lovely little place out in the Clyde Estuary. And I decided that, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it my way. And I decided to go to what I called my cathedral, which was a little rocky outcrop in the middle of the Clyde, which was an island at high tide. It was about a 3-mile walk there and a 3-mile walk back again. So off I went with the MP3 player playing off, and put it on shuffle, and off I went. And just as I arrived, I burst into a fit of giggles because the song that was playing as I arrived there was Bob Dylan's Knock Knock Knocking on Heaven's Door. And I thought, well, if God's here, then he's definitely got a sense of humour. I walked out into this rocky outcrop, and when I was there, I thought, now what? What do I do now? And I just said, well, I'm here. And I heard this voice, and it was so clear in my head. And just said, I've been waiting for you. You've come home. And I felt this sense of, it was a sense that I've never had before. For much of my life, I've had this hole here, this hole which could never really be filled. Sometimes I managed to fill it with alcohol, or seemed to, but it wasn't a lasting one. And all of a sudden, it was filled. And it was the most amazing sensation. There were more things said, but it was this sense of belonging that I had really for the first time ever. I really belonged. And it was just wonderful. I left there and I walked back through the woods, and the woods had changed. They looked so different on the way back. Back told Lou, then eventually we got together again. And if you listen to the other video, the very first video, this one here, it tells you about our time in Darts Farm when the Lord commissioned us. So I believe that the Lord was bringing me from Scotland, me who had been an alcoholic and was now a psychologist, bringing me to be together with Lou, who had lived with an alcoholic and was a counsellor, and he was bringing us together to create Bottled Up. And it has felt like the purpose of our lives, so much. But the beautiful thing about that was it wasn't just bringing us together. It wasn't just a job interview. There were perks. And the perks is that we love one another. We love being with one another. We love being married to one another. So it was a job with perks. And I think I'll just leave it there. Thank you. Bye.